The Bulova Lunar Pilot versus the Omega Speedmaster. We're looking at two ends of the spectrum regarding price, $500 and change versus the Omega at $6,000 plus. Are these watches really that far apart, or are they really closer than the price indicates? I'm going to let you guys know that information on this episode of
Average Joe.
It's always time. Kind of one. Hello everyone, welcome to Average Joe Watch Reviews, where we do more than just reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at two iconic moon watches and two very differently priced watches. This one here at $550, somewhere around there, to $6,000, guys. So we're looking at opposite ends of the spectrum. Is the Omega Speedmaster worth $5,500 more than the Bulova? Well, I'm going to give you guys my opinion today, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned till the end, because I will give you guys my final thoughts on that particular question. All right, so let's take a look at the Bulova Lunar Pilot first and foremost. I think the first thing that you guys notice is the fact that it is a quartz movement. Now, this one is housing the 262 kilohertz movement, which is a very accurate movement. This movement is accurate to up to 10 seconds, not per day, not per week, not per month, but per year. Very, very impressive. Now, you would expect the smooth sweep, which is not happening on the second hand, which is at the 6 o'clock subdial. But if you activate the stopwatch, you're going to get that smooth sweep. Now, I will admit that the typical Bulova high beat movement, such as the Bulova chronograph that I actually used to own, actually housed a super smooth sweep. That movement is absolutely incredible. But here you're actually getting not as smooth of a sweep as you typically would in one of those movements. You know, I don't have the answer as to why, but you're still getting the accuracy with this particular movement, which is, in my opinion, the most important part of that. And then we click the pusher. I love these pushers, by the way. They are absolutely unbelievable. Look at the way that they're manufactured. Now, they actually appear to be just large crown protectors, except they're just not close enough to the crown. But these actually are very unique. I love the way they look. I love the way that they feel. Very, very just responsive. But that clicking and the fact that they're so skinny and it's actually a piece of metal. It actually feels really, really high quality. And it's very, as I said, very responsive, and you reset it just like that. And really, really cool. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this watch. So that's your Bulova there. And then, of course, the Omega Speedmaster. I used to own a Seamaster. I don't anymore. So this one here is the Speedmaster, and this one actually has the Hezolite crystal. So essentially, this watch actually pays homage to the original, which when you look at the back of the case here, you can see that this one was made for the 1965 space mission. So the Omega Speedmaster was indeed the first watch on the moon. So this watch is paying homage to that, and you can also get the crystal version, which is going to be about $1,000 more. You'll get the sapphire crystal on the top, and also in the back as well. And you'll see that exhibition case back and the movement behind that. And this one here, this one's more true to the original, and this one's going to be about $1,000 of a cheaper or more affordable version of the Speedmaster. So this one runs in around $6,000, and the sapphire crystal will run you $7,000 MSRP. Now, you can see both of these watches have a very, very similar style, okay? You've got the chronographs, you've got the black against the white hands. Even that second hand, look at how close that is replicated there. Even the handset, I mean, very, very close, guys. You can tell that Bulova definitely took inspiration from the Speedmaster. Now, it's definitely not a direct copy, okay? But you know, first and foremost, you can see the sub-seconds at the 9 o'clock position as opposed to the 6 o'clock. You got an automatic versus quartz, but there's also some other details here. You can see that the hash lines here are actually longer than on here. They do use the candlestick indices. You do see a little bit of a shorter, more just like a shorter indice here as opposed to all the indices being equal length. You've got the two dots at the 12 o'clock position, and I'm going to move the second hand out of the way for you guys so you can see that in its entirety. So there's definitely some differences. You also have the outer bezel here, okay, on the Speedmaster. And if I'm not mistaken, that would be a ceramic bezel there. It doesn't rotate, which, you know, that's not what it's supposed to do. This is not a diver. You also don't get that screw down crown as well. You do get no, you don't get a screw down crown here either, but you got the tachometer on the inner bezel, okay, as opposed to the outer. so definitely some subtle differences for sure. Definitely a cleaner dial with just Bulova written here, and you got a mega and a lot of lettering here in regards to the dial. But it's done nicely. It's well balanced. And when you take a look at these in different lights, you could also see there's actually a step up on the inner dial here, and the Bulova is a little bit more flat. Okay, there's not as much depth as the Omega Speedmaster. Very interesting look here. I mean, you could see more of a polished bezel, outer bezel here, but this is all like, it's got a sandblasted look. And then you've got that, again, polishing sign crown. Very interesting look. One of the things that I'm going to say that I don't like about the Bulova is its size. And that's actually one of the few things that I'm not a huge fan of. With that being said, though, as I was wearing it, though, despite the fact that it is a big watch, and we're gonna take a measurement for you right here before I put it on the wrist. Let's get that at 0, and we're gonna do a measurement where we don't include anything but, and we're coming in right around a 45 millimeter, guys. All right, so that's a big watch. Okay. Now, I have a 7-inch wrist, and I'm actually going to put this on so that you guys can take a look and see that it actually doesn't look that bad at all. I mean, when I wear it, it's actually very comfortable. And it's not a very heavy watch. And I think what really helps out with this particular piece is the fact that it's on the leather strap, first and foremost. So you get a little bit of weight saving there. When it comes to the look, or, you know, on the wrist, when we take a look at our lug to lug height, that's really going to tell a big story here. And we're looking at a 52 millimeter, okay? So it is a large watch, but 52 millimeters is not that bad if you have a 7-inch wrist. If you have anything less than a 7-inch wrist, I want to definitely give you guys warning and highly recommend that you guys try this on prior to purchasing it, because it's a bulbous. And here's the thing, guys. You're getting a lot of like the case here, whereas like if you take a look at just the dial itself, and we'll take a look at that here. I think that's where maybe why the watch doesn't look as large, because when you take a look at the measurement there, you're looking at a 41 millimeter. You're getting a lot of that thickness from the case. So I think that's where, it doesn't look like a 45 on the wrist. All right. So, and let's take a look at the case back real quick. And you'll see that we have the Apollo 15 mission. This is July 26, 1971 to August 7, 1971. All right. And it's got the coordinates on here. We do have a sapphire crystal. And you also get that anti-reflective coating, which is really nice touch, guys, because when I look at this watch on my wrist, it really pops. And the watch looks very high-end because of that alone. But also at a quick glance, it really does look like a Speedmaster, at least at first glance. Now, when we take a look at the Speedmaster, let's take some measurements of this guy here. You're looking at a smaller watch, right around a 42 millimeter, okay? And when we look at the lug to lug, we're definitely looking at again, smaller dimensions at a 47 millimeter, okay? So when we put this one on the wrist, again, when I look at this, this one doesn't look that much smaller than the Bulova. Now, when we look at them side by side, as I'm going to do right here, let's see if we can do this without like scratching anything up. I mean, yeah, if you look at them side by side, yeah, the Bulova definitely looks a lot larger. But when we look at them separately, the Omega definitely has a better wrist presence. It's a smaller, more traditional size watch. And it's actually pretty light as well. The Omega is actually sporting the manual wind movement, actually. So, and I know this about this watch, and yet still, when I put it on my wrist, I was shaking my wrist, and I'm so used to having the rotor that this one here doesn't have that. So, yeah, so that was my stupid moment, which we're all entitled to, guys. We're all human, right? So this one here, you have to wind. We'll take a listen. And be very careful, guys, because once you feel resistance, you need to stop. Unlike an automatic watch, this one here, you can't keep winding all day. This one doesn't have a clutch mechanism that will keep slipping if you so that it prevents you from overwinding the watch. This one here actually it stops, and if you keep winding, you will break this movement, and trust me, guys, you do not want to mess this movement up. I'm not a huge fan of this bracelet. I'm gonna be very, very honest with you guys. It feels kind of chintzy. It looks nice, but it just feels kind of chintzy to me. Even this buckle, I'm just not a huge fan of it, guys. It's a bit of a hair puller, and quite honestly, I've actually been wearing it on a Barton red quick release strap. It really looks sharp on the leather strap indeed. So I've been wearing it on that. Now this one here has some stuff on the back as well, written. Flight qualified by NASA 1965. This was indeed the first watch worn on the moon. And you get the little Speedmaster medallion in the center. And you get your markings, which shows the authenticity. Okay. And just an iconic watch. I mean, let's be honest. Guys, I'll show you some pusher action. There you go. Now, I get nervous with this Hezolite dial. With this Hezolite crystal. I mean, I know, you can use your poly watch and buff it out, but I'm just a sapphire guy, But this is not my watch. Actually, none of these are my watches, actually. These both were lent into the channel by a very generous and supportive subscriber of the channel. And I want to give Raphael a huge shout out for lending these into the channel. I'm actually floored at the fact and humbled that a subscriber who I've never met actually would send me 2 watches that are worth over $6,000, guys, just so that I can shoot a video and wear these and get a feel for them. So huge shout out to you, Raphael. I want to thank you so much. I am just so, I mean, guys, when you ask about YouTube and what it has done for me personally, I've met quite a few really good people that are going to be lifetime friends, and Raphael is one of them. So shout out to you, buddy. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, I'm going to flip the camera around, guys, but before I do that, I just want to give you guys a thickness. I never gave you guys a thickness, so I know you're going to roast me. So the Bulova is at 14 millimeter, and we're looking at actually a little bit thicker here. We're looking at, oh, yeah, right around a little less than 14, but again, we would round up around 14. So just about the same thickness, guys. Okay. When we look at the lug width, yeah, lug width is 20 millimeters on the Omega, and on the, we're looking at 20 millimeters on the Bulova. So I'm going to turn the camera around, guys, and I'm going to give you guys some final thoughts. You're going to be surprised at what I have to say, so stay tuned. All right, so I gave you guys kind of a sneak peek at each watch. I didn't get too technical, but I wanted to give you guys kind of a close look at each one. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be completely honest. I wore the Lunar Pilot more than I wore the Omega Speedmaster. First and foremost, neither of these watches are mine. This one's $6,000. This one's $500 plus. I felt more comfortable wearing this one around more. And I'm going to be very honest with you. This watch is actually better than I actually expected. The anti-reflective coating, the white against the black really just stands out. It really had a nice presence on the wrist, by the way. And the watch is actually, even though it's a large watch, it fit good on my wrist for a couple reasons. The dial itself is actually right around a 41 millimeter, whereas just the case is just chunky monkey, right? And the watch was a lot lighter than I thought it was as well. These pushers I was really impressed with. The case back, I mean, the packaging for $550. You're getting a bargain here, guys. Now, this is the second watch on the moon. I have no problem being second. Being an average Joe, I'm not a first, okay? I'm not the largest channel out there, and I don't mind being average. I have no problem being average. So I relate a lot to this watch. This is the first watch on the moon. This is an Omega, okay? This is a luxury watch. $6,000 though, man. I love Omega. I've actually owned an Omega. Look behind me. I've actually owned that Seamaster that you see there. I have absolutely no qualms with Omega, but at $6,000, even I can't justify that kind of money for this watch. It's a great watch. It's an iconic watch, but I think that's what you're paying for with this particular model. You're paying for that iconic moon watch, which this is paying homage to at the end of the day. Whereas you want a legit moon watch, this here scratches that itch. It looks like the Omega, okay? Doesn't feel like it. It doesn't have the automatic movement, all right? Don't get me wrong there. But it's an iconic watch, guys. $550. I choose this one. I mean, I love Omega, but I also love Bulova. And guys, if you buy this watch at $550 and you know you were gonna buy this Omega, now I just saved you $5,500. You can thank me in the comments down below. That's my 2 cents. You can keep the change, and always remember that there's always time to be kind to one another. Please take care of each other, and I'll see you guys next time on Average Joe Watch Reviews. God bless, my friends.